Alright, so this video is a review of theorems and lines, which is Unit 11 in my class. And I'm going to go ahead and start by doing some concrete examples, and then if I have time, I'll go back and talk about some more definitional things. So I'm starting with AB is parallel to CD. So it gives me one piece of information. It says that the measure of angle 6 is 120 degrees. So this is the measure of angle 6. And then it wants me to find the measure of all the other angles. So I'll start by just kind of looking at some relationships. So angles 6 and 7 are vertical angles. They're opposite of each other, which means that they're congruent. So angle 7 also has to be 120 degrees. And then angle 6 and angle 3 are alternate interior angles, which are also congruent, so this has to be 120 degrees. And then again, these are vertical angles, so this also has to be 120 degrees. So that's 4 of the 8 angles right off the bat. And then to find, let's say, angle 4, angle 6 and angle 4 are what's called consecutive angles, and consecutive angles are supplementary. So supplementary means they add to 180 degrees. So angle 4 plus this 120 degrees add to 180 degrees. So if I just minus this 120 from both sides, then angle 4 equals 180 minus 120, which is 60 degrees. And then I can use the same logic I used earlier to find the rest of my angles. So angle 1 and angle 4 are vertical, so angle 1 has to be 60 degrees. And then just so we can see a couple of other examples of what angles might be called, angle 4 and angle 8 are what's called corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are congruent. Or I also could have said angle 8 and angle 1 are alternate exterior angles, which are also congruent, and then these are vertical angles, or these are alternate interior angles, and this is also 60 degrees. So there's a lot of ways to go about finding those angles. It kind of just depends on which way you prefer. Number 5, we're using the same figure, but we're given some new information, so I'm going to erase what I have so far. It may be nice if you just listed your numbers in your angles so you can kind of go back and forth with what other things are, but it's totally up to you. So the measure of angle 2 is 5x plus 25, and the measure of angle 7 is 7x minus 5. So the first thing it asks for me to do is to find x. Well, these are alternate exterior angles, so that means they're equal to each other, they're congruent. So I know that 5x plus 25 is equal to 7x minus 5. And then I just have to get x by itself. So if I add 5 to both sides, then these cancel, and I have 5x plus 25 plus 5 is 30, equals 7x, and then I want all those x's on the same side, so I'll go ahead and minus 5x from both sides, and then I have 30 equals 7x minus 5x, which is 2x. I can divide by 2 on both sides, and x equals 30 divided by 2, which is 15. So that's my first part, is x equals 15. It now wants me to find the measure of all 8 angles again. So first I'll find the ones that I have equations for. So I know that x is equal to 15. And let me go ahead and list my numbers so that I can do this a little easier. So angle 7 is 7x minus 5, and I know that x is equal to 15. So I can just plug this 15 in for x. So 7 times 15 is 105. 105 minus 5 is, 105 minus 5 is 100. So angle 7 is 100 degrees. So I say angle 7 is 100 degrees. And then if I plug, well, let's see. 7 times 15. Let me just check my math so that we don't have anything embarrassing happen. So 7 times 15. Yes, is 105. 105 minus 5 is 100. So then I can do that same thing with angle 2. I plug a 15 in there. So 5 times 15 is 75, plus 25 is 100. Now that makes sense because angle 2 and angle 7 should be congruent, like we just kind of talked about over here, so both of those angles are equal to 100 degrees. And then kind of using the same logic as the other time I did this, I can find all my other angles. So I know all 4 of these angles are 100 degrees, and then 180 minus 100 is 80 degrees, so all of these angles are 80 degrees. So if I write that down here, angle 1 is 80, 2 is 100, 3 is 100, 4 is 80, 5 is 80, 6 is 100, 7 is 100, and 8 is 80 degrees. So again, I'm going to erase the information I have on here because I'm now given even different information with number 6. So with number 6, I'm told that angle 3 is equal to 7x and angle 5 is equal to 2x plus 9. So this time these two angles aren't congruent, so I can't set them equal to each other like I did on problem 5, but they're consecutive angles, which means that they are supplementary. They add to 180. So 7x plus 2x plus 9 is equal to 180. So then I can just combine like terms. So 7x plus 2x is 9x plus 9 is equal to 180. And then if I minus 9 from both sides, I have 9x equals 171. And then I can divide by 9. So 171 divided by 9 is equal to 19. So I found x equals 19. So then again, I can find these angles by plugging in my x. So let me go ahead and list my 8 angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I plug a 19 in here, 7 times 19 is 133. So angle 3 is 133 degrees. And then if I plug 19 in here, 2 times 19 plus 9 is 47 degrees. So angle 5 is 47 degrees. So now I can check that answer because if I do 133 plus 47, it's equal to 180, which is what I want to have happen because these are supplementary angles. So then from there I can kind of fill in the rest of my angles. So if angle 3, let me just erase this so I can see the picture a little better. We just found angle 3 is 133 degrees, angle 5 is 47 degrees. So this must be 133, this must be 47, 47, 133, 133, and 47. So if I write that in my numbers, I have 47, 133, 133, 47, 47, 133, 133, and 47 degrees. So there's a couple of examples of how to find some different angles. From there, I'm now talking about different logic statements. So I'm going to start by stating the hypothesis and conclusion of this statement. So I have, if a figure is a rectangle, then it is a parallelogram. So this is in conditional statement form. So this is if P, then Q. So my hypothesis is the figure is a rectangle. And the conclusion of that is that it's a parallelogram. The way that number 7 is written in if-then form is referred to as a conditional statement, which is what we're asked to do right here on number 8. So all triangles have 3 sides. Okay, well, that means that if it is a triangle, then it has 3 sides. If P, then Q. Our converse changes to if Q, then P. So we're going to start with if it has 3 sides, then it is a triangle. And now number 9 is just the same as number 8 with a new sentence, so I'm going to go ahead and let you try that one on your own. And I'm going to go on to number 10. So number 10, it gives us the conditional statement. The conditional statement is, if I am thirsty, then I will get a drink. So if I were to write the converse, it would be, if I get a drink, then I am thirsty. Inverse and contrapositive, we're using not. So this symbol stands for not. So the inverse is, if not P, then not Q. The contrapositive is, if not Q, then not P. So starting with the PQ order, if I'm not thirsty, then I will not get a drink. Get a drink. The contrapositive is still negated, meaning we're using these nots, but we're going to swap the order for if not Q, then not P. So if I don't get a drink, then I'm not thirsty. So again, number 11 is just like number 10, so I'll go ahead and let you try that one on your own. Number 12 asks us to create a proof, and it lets us choose between two column or paragraph. So I'm going to start by just looking at what my given information is. So I know that angle 5 is congruent to angle 8, and angle B and angle AB, or sorry, line AB and line CD are parallel. And it wants me to prove that angle 2 is congruent to angle 8. So there's a few different ways I can look at this. If I know, or sorry, not angle 2 is congruent to angle 8. Angle 2 plus angle 8 is equal to 180 degrees. So I know that angle, I'm going to just start. I'll do a 2 column to start. So I'm going to start with my statement and reason. So I'll start with what is given. So I know that angle 5 is congruent to angle 8. AB is parallel to CD because that is given. So I kind of need to move my way up to angle 2 to figure out what angle 2 is. So first of all, I know that angle 5 and angle 1 are congruent, which is getting closer to 2. So angle 5 is congruent to angle 1 because they're corresponding angles. And then I know that angle 1 and 2 add to 180 degrees because they're on a straight line and they're supplementary. So I know angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180 degrees because they're supplementary, because they're on the same line. So I'll go ahead and put that in parentheses. So if angle 5 is equal to angle 1, and angle 1 plus angle 2 is 180 degrees, well, then angle 5 plus angle 2 must be 180 degrees, and angle 8 plus angle 2 must be 180 degrees because they're all the same. So I know I can go right from here and say angle 2 plus angle 8 is equal to 180 degrees because angle 1 is congruent to angle 8. And so that kind of leads me through the process of proving that this is true. So I go step by step by step, say the statement, give the reason. If you prefer to write it in a paragraph, that's totally fine. You would do it very similarly. You would say something like, if angle 5 is congruent to angle 8 and AB is parallel to CD, then I know angle 5 is congruent to angle 1 because they're corresponding angles. And I know that angle 1 plus angle 2 is equal to 180 degrees because they're on a straight line, which means they're supplementary. So then angle 2 plus angle 8 must be 180 degrees because angle 1 is congruent to angle 8. And if you have a hard time seeing this, you can kind of show that that's because angle 5 is congruent to angle 1 and angle 5 is congruent to angle 8. So if angle 5 is congruent to both of these, then angle 8 has to be congruent to angle 1. So that kind of clarifies that a little bit. And I didn't have time to go through all the definitions, but all these definitions on the front page should be in your note packet, and you can just copy them down from there.